like when sometimes Josh is like reading my story and he'll make an expression. I'm like, what was that? Like,
Yes, Michael made like a sound. And I want to be like, what? What made you laugh? What was it? Like,
show me the exact page. What is the sentence? I'm Maddie.
And I'm Abigail, and this is
Two writers.
Many Wrongs.
two writers, many connections. We've talked about the idea of community and how to build your community, but I almost want to take a step back and talk about building connections because I feel like that word has a lot of like negative connotation around it of building out your connections or like networking or whatever. And I want to talk about the positive aspects of it and how connections is what gets you to community. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I recently used one of our connections from the show to try to book another author. And so, I've been reaching out to authors, since January and just haven't gotten any responses. And it's so weird because last season we talked to a bunch of authors, and now this season I'm like struggling to get people. But there's an author, Kristen Cashore, who I love her so much. Like she has written one of my all-time favorite series ever. And I've tried to reach out to her agent and like just never gotten any responses. And like if you look at our spreadsheet, I think I've reached out to her team 3 times
Hmm.
and just never gotten a response. And I noticed that she and Jandy Nelson were mutuals on Instagram. And so I reached out to Jandy and I was like, hey, could you make an introduction or like just ask Kristen if she'd be interested in being on our little show? And Jandy was like, I don't know her personally. Like, I'm also just a fan of her work,
Mm.
but I'll reach out and like see if she says anything. And so I used the connection of Jandy, who is just so wonderful and like such a friend of the podcast. And she reached out to Kristen for me. And Kristen wrote back and was like, yeah, that sounds super fun. Here's my email. Like, tell them to reach out. And so I emailed Kristen Cashore and she got back to us. So hopefully we'll be recording with her in the summer because she's in like a high productive mode right now, which I always love when authors say that because I'm like, oh, that means you're going to come out with something soon. Um, but yeah, so like I used a connection to get something for the podcast and that transactional quality, I feel like has like a yucky like history behind it, but every single step of the way just felt like friends, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it should feel like. It's not like so much like it's a mutual kind of thing where
Mhm.
you're helping each other out. And I think too, like a lot of people are, I think most people are generally very giving and they want to help and they want to do things for people because it feels good. It feels good to help other people. And, remembering, I'm sure Jandy had people who helped her when she was getting started and kind of remembering and paying that forward. And so I think that's really neat. It's hard though. It's really hard to reach out because
So
you feel like
hard.
you're being selfish.
Yes, like I really feel like I'm like taking advantage of her. And like obviously she could have said like no, I'm not comfortable doing that and I would have completely understood and like never asked again. Um but yeah, it was this interesting moment and like almost encouraged me to not do it more necessarily, but like we've talked about when AWP comes around next year in Chicago, so excited that we're going and we're going to submit for a panel again. Um, but in order to do that, you have to have more than 2 people.
Yeah.
And so it really made me start thinking about like who are our connections that we could reach out to try to do a panel with us. Um, because we're not friends with the silly geese, but also I
We're
love them
not.
so much. Well, I guess I have a hard time with friendship, as you know. I
I
have a
do too.
complicated, like I don't assume that anybody's my friend, you know? Like I am like, oh, they're an acquaintance and I like them very much and they like me and that's great, but like friendship means something so much deeper to me. Um,
Hmm.
but you can never make friends if you're not willing to like push through that connection acquaintance
Yeah.
phase.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, when you called me, we hadn't talked to each other in like two
Yeah.
years or something.
Right.
And you called me and I was like, whack. This is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me.
And I felt so weird texting you being like, hey, can I call you? Dang, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, because that's back when we were volunteering. And
You had
again,
cold
like you had
called
just
me.
I did well, I mean, you had just been like a person that felt like I clicked with at grad school, and like I didn't have any excuses to keep in touch with you. Um, and I felt like I needed like a reason to stay friends. I mean, the reason that I
No,
volunteered
real.
at that terrible place for so long was just to have something to text you about.
You're so weird.
I I just assume that I am a burden on everybody and
Well,
that
I
I
mean,
take up too much space.
that's how I feel too. So,
Yeah.
it's just I think what's weird is when it's somebody else feels that way.
Hmm.
Because it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me. That's how I feel. You're not supposed to feel that way.
Dude, I say that to you all the time. I'm like, hey, don't talk about my friend that way.
Yeah, really.
Um, but yeah, I mean,
Pretend you're somebody you love dearly.
yeah, exactly.
I think about that all the time.
I did forget about that, just cold calling you. Like, that's such a great point of you were just a grad school connection that I forced to be my friend.
Yeah, we only knew like we only we only really knew each other for like a week.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was
And
just
then
that
I
10-day
didn't hear anything
crossover.
from you. And then you cold called me 2 years later. And here
Hmm.
we are making a podcast together.
That's so weird to think about. And the reason, like, because I remember when our university did like that group Zoom,
Hmm.
like reunion kind of thing during COVID. And like I remember looking through the little boxes of faces being like, oh, is Maddie here? Like that'd be really fun to talk to her again. No, you weren't.
I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was so butthurt about the last semester. I didn't want
I
to be
wouldn't even
there.
say that you were butthurt. I would say that you were reasonably angry at the way you had been treated.
I was just so,
Um,
and also like the pandemic was just awful because like I finished grad school and I just closed my laptop.
yeah. Yeah.
No
That
cap and
that was
gown, no
that was
graduation.
Michael. Michael was literally sitting in his cap and gown with his laptop perched on the bed and like moved his tassel and that was it.
I didn't even get a tassel.
Oh, yeah, he did
I didn't
order a
get a
cap
cap
and
and
gown.
I didn't get a cap and gown. I was never told how to get one.
Actually, he didn't. He wore my cap and gown and he just got the hood. So
I
he
don't
has
even have
his
my hood.
hood.
That's what pisses me off is I don't have my fucking hood.
Yeah, that's rough. That's not great.
I want my master's hood. When am I
I'm
gonna wear it?
sorry.
Never, but I want it.
Yeah, good for you. You should
Can
have
I
it.
like just call the school and say, "Can I have a master's hood? I have a master's degree. I can show it to you."
No, they'll say that program doesn't exist anymore. Good luck.
Dude, that's my biggest fear because like it
Yeah,
probably was like a special one for that program, so I'll never
it
have it.
wasn't anything special.
What was it? Was it like the same one as like the English one or is it different?
It's just garnet and then it has a yellow stripe on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
really want one.
we've gotten
It's
so
so
off
dumb.
topic.
It's it's tangentially related.
Yeah, kind of. But it does make me think about, going off of grad school connections. When I got my first teaching job at UNF, I used a connection of somebody that I had graduated with, Fred, who is a lovely man, but he had been teaching at UNF for years, and I used him as a reference to get my first teaching
Mm-hmm.
job at UNF.
Mm-hmm.
And since he had such a good standing at the school, like they really, considered his perspective, which was great. Um, and it's so like I'm really trying to work hard to deconstruct the feeling of connections being yucky. And I don't know why I feel that way. I don't know if it's because like I've grown up very much as like a corporate world is a sellout world and like it's yucky to use people to get ahead and all this kind of stuff. But the more that I look at my own career for lack of a
Hmm.
better word. Um, you have to be willing to make connections. And again, that word use
Hmm.
connections to get ahead to some degree. Doesn't mean step on people, but like I still have a really hard time breaking that away from my previous notions of it.
I mean, I think like connections are mutual. I think that it's about when I think about my career, when with the connections I had and people, like how I was able to get promoted wasn't because I used my connection. It was because I did stuff for this connection and they wanted to do something for me in exchange. They're like, wow, that was very helpful. I'm gonna tell your manager what a great job you did. And that helped
Mhm.
me get up in the world. It wasn't like I climbed over people to get to my position. It was I was
Right.
helpful. I reached out to people. I was willing. It was a yes man for better or worse. And so
Hmm.
when somebody needed something, I did it for them. And I tried to go above and beyond for people because I respected them and I wanted to be helpful to them. And it was in exchange, they wanted to help me. And, that's connection.
I guess I struggle with like, I don't feel like I'm in a position to offer people a whole lot right now. So it does feel like I'm using them. Jandy, it was so clearly just a favor. There's nothing
Mhm.
that I can offer her in exchange for her reaching out and making that connection.
Yet.
I guess.
Because that's the thing. Like I think favors like that are like when I went above and beyond for somebody, like that I was working with, I just wasn't like, okay, now what are you gonna do for me? It wasn't like
Right.
that. It was like,
Hmm.
oh, I have the ability to be helpful here and I would like to be helpful to them. And then later on, it pays dividends. So
Right.
I don't think you have to like, it's not a one for one exchange.
Hmm.
I think it's like, it's like you go to a coffee shop with your friend and they're like, let me get it this time. And you don't ask them to pay you back because sometime down the line you're going to be at a
Hmm.
coffee shop and they're going to buy your coffee. It's the same kind of concept that you have to kind of think of. Like
Yeah.
I don't think people are like that they're like, if I'm going to help you, I need you to give me some
Hmm.
money. Because like usually these things are, especially like reaching out to somebody, that's pretty small. Like it's not like I'm asking you to like hook me up with an agent and give them my manuscript. That's not what you're asking. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
can you reach out to this person?
Right.
Because you've
Yeah.
you've been on the podcast, you know what it's like.
Hmm. Yeah. Have you ever done like in your professional career, did you ever do like networking events?
No.
Okay. Because that's something that like I'm also deeply uncomfortable with. But then I think about our time at AWP and like I really tried to force myself outside my comfort zone because that is a networking event. Like now that we have something to promote of this podcast, like I remember we printed out all those business cards
Hmm.
and like left them on tables and handed them out to people and like really tried to build that up in some way, and even like the super awkward trying to interview people, um like I just I don't I how do you get comfortable doing that? Because if you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to build connections and then you're never going to have a community. Like it's
I mean,
really
it's
fucking hard. And I'm trying to think of how to give advice to somebody who's trying to do it. And I don't know how to conceptualize it.
I mean, I think it just takes practice, but I also think a good way connection is not to force it. I know like networking events are like you're kind of forcing it. It's a forced
Yeah.
environment. But I think like something at AWP, you don't necessarily have to force a connection. Like
Hmm.
you notice somebody has like a little keychain of like something that you like and you talk to them about that. That's how you start a connection. It's not like what can you do for me? It's like, oh, we have something in common. Let's talk about it. And
Yeah.
that can be hard, but that's like an easy way to like engage other people is finding some common ground and commonality and just starting there. Like you don't the connection doesn't have to be like a business connection. Maybe like you start off
Mhm.
as just a friendship and that friendship can evolve. But like you and me, when we had that
Yeah.
connection, it wasn't like, oh, we're going to be business partners in the future. That was never
Right.
the
Yeah.
expectation. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, I enjoy this person's company and
Yeah.
I want to hang out with them and know them more. And I think,
Mhm.
you can think about connection in that way too.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I used to make fun of my mom all the time when I was younger because she she talks about how like antisocial she is, but if we are in line somewhere, she's making friends. Like she cannot help
Oh,
herself
Carla.
if we're oh Carla, if we're in line at Disney or the grocery store, she cannot help herself from like not just, oh, I overheard something, I'm going to jump into this conversation, but turning around and being like, can you believe this? And it's like, Carla, that's a stranger. You don't know them. You don't know how they're going to react to this. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? And it's so funny because as I've gotten older, I have started doing that shit. And like when we were in California last year, I spent a couple days with my dad and my little sisters, and we went to Disneyland. And I was wearing a Star Wars shirt, and this guy in line in front of us had a Star Wars shirt. And I was like, "Oh, I really like your Star Wars shirt." And he turned around, and started talking to me, and turns out like he worked on, because of course it's in fucking LA. He worked on a lot of the visuals for Mandalorian and blah blah blah. And like we talked the entire 30-minute line, and my sisters are fucking cracking up that I have made a friend. And like it's just it's funny because to me, I hadn't viewed that as a connection. I just viewed that as like, I don't know, being polite, whatever. But you're so right because when we were at AWP, I would do stuff like that. But the forefront of my brain was, oh, I have to give them a business card. Like I have to make this connection. And I had that very like business forward mindset, which is maybe why it felt icky to me. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, I think if maybe you start with the like a desire for genuine connection,
Mhm.
and then if it leads to like a business connection, that's fine. Because like, um, I had the example of somebody that I talked to at AWP and dropped the ball on because I suck. But like we had a genuine connection about the
Mhm.
Tortured Poets department. And
Mhm.
we talked about that for a bit, and then it's like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I write this and I write that, and then we ended up talking about how I have a podcast, and she's like, oh, that sounds really interesting. So I gave her a business card, but it didn't
Yeah.
start off like I'm gonna give this girl a business card. It was like, oh my God, I love your Tortured Poets department stuff that you're
Oh,
repping, and then
yeah.
it turned into something. So I think like you can have that, but
Mhm.
again, like
Yeah.
yeah,
That
it's
makes
just
sense. Because I
it's
mean,
hard. It's hard
honestly,
though. Yeah.
yeah, it's really fucking hard. And like that's how it feels reaching out to these authors, asking them to be on our podcast. It is business forward because I want them to be on our podcast, but I want them on our podcast because I'm a fucking fan and because I want to learn about them and their journey. Like, not because I want anything from them. I'm not looking, like you said earlier, I'm not looking to pass off my manuscript to somebody. But like, I do want to get to know them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
we want them to mentor us. Like, how
Right?
did you do it? What's your
Yeah.
story? Like,
Hmm.
how did you get there? Because
Yeah.
I think to me it's very inspirational talking to authors and hearing their journeys
Hmm.
and being like, oh, okay, it doesn't have to look like 16
Hmm.
years old signing a multi-million-dollar
Dude.
book deal, you
Right,
know?
exactly. Yeah, we're not all gonna be Aragorn or Mary Shelley. Jesus Christ, we can't all be Mary Shelley or S.E. Hinton, like all writing at fucking 16 and getting published.
Yeah, yeah. Mary
Yeah.
Shelley, who wore her husband's heart.
Hmm.
Hmm. Just metals all hell.
Dude, metal as fuck. Um, but yeah, so I think that's where I'm struggling with connections is um, especially how many authors we've talked to. I hesitate to say every single one of them, but many of them got to where they are because they knew somebody who knew somebody and were able to work those connections to get to where they are and to get published. And like that's always in the back of my mind when I reach out to authors of, like Claire Lombardo. I use her books as comp titles, like when I query all kinds of stuff. Like if she had ever said like, oh, well, my agent, if you want to, I'd be like, ha, you know, but
Right.
that obviously didn't happen, and that's okay. But like, it is good to know that I have that connection, that if I ever get published, I can reach out to her and be like, hey, will you do a quote for the back of my book? You
Hmm.
know? Um, and like trying to keep all those little names in our back pocket to help us out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like I feel like I would like to one day if I do end up getting published to, do something nice for the people that have been on the podcast to like thank them,
Yeah.
like, maybe include them in like the acknowledgments or something because it is like
Hmm.
I'm very grateful and blown away by how generous so many authors have been to come on here to give us
Hmm.
their time because time
Oh,
is
yeah.
very, very valuable and expensive,
Hmm.
and to give it for free is just super
Yeah.
generous.
Well, and it's also just interesting. Like, there are some authors that we've talked to who, like, I love getting to talk to them, but they definitely feel more like distant. And then there are some people that we talk to, like Jandy, who is just such a fucking friend, or Bethany Jacobs, who is so wonderful and inviting. Who like I would feel so comfortable. I know, I know, just the mention of her name makes you pass out, makes you swoon.
Soon.
But like I would feel so comfortable reaching out to her, asking her for an opinion, asking her for help, asking her for whatever. Um, and I
I
do kind
think
of,
I can't with Bethany just because I feel so like enamored by her that I'm like,
yeah,
like I
that's how
don't
I
feel
felt with
comfortable.
Jandy. I mean, that's the literally like Jandy Nelson is writing is everything that I have ever wanted to be. And like I feel the same way with Kristen Cashore. And they're completely different styles of writing from what I do, but like it is awe-inspiring to see it and then to get to talk to
Mhm.
them and be like, "Oh, you're just as goofy and awkward as I am." Like, that's amazing. Like, you also genuinely want to help people and, like, you enjoy taking on that mentor role.
Mhm.
I saw something, um, this is so dumb. So the new Spider-Man trailer came out,
Okay.
and I love Spider-Man more than anything. Like he is my favorite superhero and I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. But there's an interview from a while ago that keeps recirculating right now and he talks about how he really hopes that they get to bring Miles Morales into the live action um, so that he can mentor a kid the way that Robert Downey Jr. mentored him and stood up for him.
Oh,
And he talks about the shit that Robert Downey Jr. did for him and like made sure that he was not being cut from the first Avengers movie that he ever showed up in and like
yeah.
really championed him. Um, and how like he wants to do that for somebody else. And it just like it makes me kind of think about mentorship in that way of I
Mhm.
feel like I am very much in the beginning stages. Um,
Yeah.
and like I hope like I would die if somebody wanted to one day interview me, you
Yeah.
know?
No, but real. But like
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting thing to think about. Like maybe the mentors or like the people that we see as mentors that are helping us,
Mhm.
the benefit for them is they are trying to repay the favor that somebody else did
Yeah.
for them. So they're
Yeah.
paying it backwards
Mhm.
for something that they couldn't repay at the time. And that's
Yeah.
how they repay it. And I think that's something that's really cool to think of too.
Well, and that goes into what you were saying about connections. And again, this word transactional has such a yucky connotation to it. But like you were saying, of it is transactional in the way of like, hey, can you do this now and then I'll do something later and whatever else. And maybe you're not repaying the same person. Like maybe
Mhm.
it is a paying it forward because like I said, I don't think I have anything to offer the connections that we have right now. I mean, yes, we have a podcast, but it's not like we have a huge audience. Like, I can't offer them a large platform. Like, they are truly doing us a favor by coming and talking to us. But maybe someday in the future, I can help somebody else and like still have it be transactional in that way, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah, that's helping me through this because I was really having a hard time of like, I don't know why. It just networking and connections and all of those terms that you hear, they always felt so yucky to me. Um,
Yeah, I do think that like there's, when you think of connections, you think of like the business bros. And like
Yeah.
it's very like they are definitely trying to like
Hmm.
make money. They're trying to
Get
move up in the
ahead.
world, get ahead. But I
Yes.
don't think like in our case that I don't feel like that's the case. For me, I'm
Yeah.
making connections to like understand the writing process better, to get better as a writer, to talk to somebody who has a similar experience as me. I'm not like because I think most of the connections you make, they're not going to be able to like get your book published.
Right.
But like, maybe one day they could write a blurb, but
Right.
like they're not able to
Hmm.
like pull you up in the world in that way. They could
Right.
mentor you. And
Hmm.
that's the goal for our profession is not to make more money or to get
Hmm.
promoted. It's to become a better writer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really lovely. That's helping
It's a
me so much.
different
Yeah.
kind of exchange for artists when you make connections.
Right, exactly, exactly. I mean, because even like my current job that I have at Rollins, one of my friends that I worked with at the bookstore, she is the like executive assistant for the English department, like for fucking everybody there. And she said, like, hey, they're hiring adjuncts if you want to like put in your resume. She couldn't get me an interview, she couldn't get me a job, she couldn't, but just having that connection of, hey, just so you are aware, this thing is happening um, like is so helpful to have. And I guess that's the thing is that like if you want to get that leg up, if you want to get that helping hand, you have to be willing to put your hopes and desires out there. Like she only said that because she knew that I wanted to work there, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the same thing with uh with our writing process is people can only help us if we talk about, well, this is what I'm writing. This is what I, am hoping to accomplish, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point too, because like she reached out to you and said, hey,
Hmm.
this is happening. And I
Yeah.
think it's because people want to help people,
Yeah.
but they can only help people that they know and
Right.
people that they know what their goals are.
Hmm.
Because like, Josh is always like when somebody I know ends up getting laid off or they're looking for a new
Yeah.
job, he like panics and he's like, what can I do? I
Oh,
want to help them get a job, but he's like, I
yeah.
don't have anything that would fit for them. And he's like kind of like panicking, like looking through things because he wants to help. He wants to help
Yeah.
people that he knows
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
he knows what they're like and knows that
Yeah.
how hard it is to lose your job and stuff.
Hmm.
But I think, same thing is like for us, like when you reached out, cold call,
Hmm.
that was a connection in which you were like, oh, I think since I met this person, I think that they would be good for this.
Yeah.
Um, but it's
That
because
was
you've known me,
entirely
you've met
selfish
me.
of me, but it still did work. I did, but it's true. I did think about like the organization talked about what we needed, and I was like, oh, Maddie's super organized. She understands how these things work. Like she's somebody that I could work closely with, and I think we have similar style like brains and similar work ethic. And I did. I completely tricked you into taking that position so that we could hang out. Um,
Hilarious. Um,
but yeah, I mean that's true. Like that is the way the connections work. And maybe someday, hopefully, maybe one of the people who've been on the podcast are mentoring somebody and reach out to us and say, hey, would you want to interview this person? Like that would be sick. But
I think the important thing is when forming a connection is that when you're forming a connection, the goal should be to make a connection,
yeah.
to reach out and connect with another human being. That the goal should
Mhm.
not be how can this person benefit me?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I just want to like have a human connection and just think of it that way. Because
Mhm.
again, like people want to help the people that they know.
Yeah.
And it's like I met this my husband's friend, his wife. I met her like twice. I barely knew her. And one day she has my phone number. And one day she sent me a video out of the blue because she had foxes living in her
Aw.
backyard with little kits. And um she sent it to me because she knew I liked foxes. And like
Yeah.
we'd never like texted each other, but she's like, "Oh, Maddie likes foxes. I will send these to her." And that's connection.
That's
And
really sweet.
that is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, but it
My
was really, really
yeah,
magical.
no, my mom was out shopping the other day and she bought Maggie a Silly Goose shirt and specifically said, "Yes, you can put her in it and send this picture to your friends." And I was like, "That's so cute," because I definitely am going to send Lexi a picture of my child. Like she's gonna be like, "Okay." But just because I think about them all the time. Um, yeah,
But like,
that's a great point of like it is to build a human connection first and foremost.
yes, I think because we're built for that. We're built for connection, even though
Mm.
we like also hate it and want to shy away from it. But
Yeah.
it's funny because like, we think about the silly geese all the time. But like, do the silly geese know that we think about them all the time? Or would they be
Um,
surprised?
I have no idea. It depends if they listen to the podcast or not.
Because because here's the thing, like when you called me, because
Mhm.
I had thought about you like in the years that we
Yeah.
didn't talk.
Yeah.
I thought about you a lot. I was like, oh, I miss Abby.
Oh,
I wish I had some way to like connect with her.
yeah.
And so when you called me, I was floored. I was like, I cannot believe that she even remembers me.
We are the same person. Like we
But like, you
really
just don't know. Like, you don't know people.
yeah.
There may be people that are thinking about
Yeah.
you right now that like, I hope they're doing well. And
Hmm.
you don't know that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's the hard part is that I have drifted so far away from my writing communities in the past year and just for a lot of various reasons. But from our online writing group to my in-person writing group, like I have just kind of taken a step back from all of it. And I see the Discord channels and like they're still so active and like connecting with one another. And I just am having a hard time bringing myself back into that space for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And so I just keep thinking about the difference between like a community versus just connections. And I think at this phase in my life, I am better suited for connections and for the casualty of that. Um, and I don't know that I have the bandwidth for like the commitment of a community right now.
I think like, a lot of the authors we talk to, I feel like a lot of them don't have community, but they all
Yeah.
have connections.
Yeah.
And I think that, sometimes you don't have, because it is a lot of social energy to be part of like a bigger
Hmm.
community. It is good,
Yeah.
especially if you don't have a connection to go into those
Yes.
communities.
Yes.
And I formed a lot of my writing connections by starting in a community. And I also
Hmm.
don't have the emotional bandwidth for a full
Yeah.
community right now.
Hmm.
Um, but I have my connections. Like I have you and I
Hmm.
have Jake, and that feels really nice to have somebody to talk to about writing,
Yeah.
um, and have that
Well,
connection.
and I think that even I think that's the hard part too, is that like community often feels really big at times. Like when I think about our writing community, I mean, my in-person writing group is probably 7 people, which isn't a ton, but like it is a pretty big group.
Right.
You are being accountable to 7 people. And I think about like TJ Klune talked about his writing community, and it's just like 2 people who are his like close these are the people who read my work kind of thing. And so it's kind of nice to think about like you are my writing community right now.
Hmm.
And that's okay to just have the one for now.
Yeah.
Um,
It can
you know,
evolve and change
yeah,
as your
yeah,
needs change.
absolutely. Exactly. But keeping those connections open. I mean, because I worry about that all the time with the silly geese of we were able to interview 2 of them and have not been able to interview the other 2. And like I think about that sometimes of like I don't want them to ever think that like did we drop the ball? Like did we not want to talk to them? Like what like I always start to panic that I'm going to lose connections if I'm not constantly keeping up with them. But
Hmm.
that's not true. Like
two
the whole
years,
yeah, the whole point
two
of a
years we didn't
connection
talk.
is that it can be tenuous. Yeah.
Yes, 2 years we didn't talk, and now we
Hmm.
talk all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was gonna
It's
say
true.
something about connections, but I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Talk about how
Oh,
fucking stupid Connections is in New York Times games because sometimes it's
oh,
bullshit.
I don't fuck with the New York Times games anymore because they said something about New York Times had an article about women ruining things, and then I was like, bye. I
Great.
don't want to do
Good
this
to
anymore.
know.
Anyway,
Anyway.
um, I okay, so connections.
Yes.
The really cool thing about connections versus community is connections is like you feel more seen because it's a more
Yeah,
one-on-one environment.
that's
So like you
true.
feel more
Yeah.
like you're getting known
Hmm.
more intimately than you would in a community where you maybe feel a little bit smaller because you're with a you're with
Hmm.
an ensemble cast, you know.
Yeah. It's very exposed to reach out to a connection because you don't have that cover of a community of like, oh, hey, we're all sharing our work. Like, I guess I'll share with you kind of thing. A connection is very much like an individual reaching out to another individual or something. So maybe that's another reason why I'm so afraid of connections is because it is so much more exposed. But again, it's so funny because I have no problem sending out these emails to agents because to me they're just like ethereal beings. But then once they reply, I get so nervous.
Agents are ethereal. Well, I mean, like, I think because part of the thing is, I don't know if this is true for you, but
Yeah.
like, to me, like, an agent responding to an email that I have sent them is like a myth.
Yeah,
Like, that doesn't happen.
that's accurate.
It's like
Yes.
seeing a unicorn. It's like,
Hmm.
what do you mean? What do you
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of feels like when I used to be on Twitter and like you would post something and it just felt like shouting to the void. But then if
Yeah.
somebody actually commented back, you were like, oh, fuck, somebody perceived me. Like
Yes.
I didn't mean for that to be out there. Um, but like
Yeah.
that is the thing about connections is I mean, I reached out to Jandy knowing full well she could leave the message on red and I would just be embarrassed. Knowing that she could say no, which would be fine. I would totally understand that. But the fact that she said yes and made that connection, and now I get to hopefully talk to one of my other favorite authors. I always feel bad too because I'm always like, oh my God, you're one of my favorite authors. And then I'm like, does that mean anything if I have 50 favorite authors? Like, there are so many authors that I'm like, I just love you. I just love you so much. I love everything you've written. I don't
I
know.
mean, you're just a fan.
I
Excited.
am. I like
Excited
being
to
a
meet
fan of
people.
things. I like liking shit. Yeah.
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 So I just, you know, thinking about AWP being in Chicago next year, I'm so excited about it.
It's gonna be
And
cold.
well, it's good. So I have family that lives in Chicago. And so like it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to try and plan like to go early or stay later or whatever to see them a little bit. Because they're great people. But like just thinking about how much fun I had at the last AWP, and now I feel like I'm really gonna like I could hang out at the silly goose booth and
Silly
like
Booth.
yeah, exactly, chill with them. Or, again, like when we went last time, our podcast was still kind of a baby. And I mean, we're in our, I mean, third season. I know it's been 2 years, but like it was broken up kind of weird.
So this is our third season, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like that's
So this is year
crazy.
three.
Yeah, we're in
Our
year
third year.
three.
We are in year 3.
Yeah, so by the time we go to AWP, we will have been doing this for four, like we will be in our fourth year.
That's right.
Um, and like that feels really kind of cool. So I'm really excited about submitting for a panel, even though I don't know that we're going to be accepted. It's still really exciting to be like, when we submitted 2 years ago, we were like, I don't know, we're just like some people want to talk about community. And now when we submit, we can be like, hey, all of these people like will come sit at our booth with us and talk on our panel with us about
Hmm.
how to build a writing community. Like I feel like I actually have some value uh to kind of know what I'm talking about now a little bit, even though I'm still here trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see because when we go back, we'll be in a very different spot than we were when
Yeah.
we initially started
Yeah.
our AWP awkward interviews.
I'm gonna do it again because I
Oh
have
my
to.
God.
Maybe we'll get shirts. We get
Uh,
matching shirts.
okay. I don't.
I know you hate it so much.
I don't, well, I don't like wearing like t-shirts very
I know. It's
much.
okay. I'll get you a dress.
Oh my God, yeah, I would wear a dress with our logo on it.
Okay.
I would
Okay.
100%. I
We'll
do
see what
occasionally wear
happens.
t-shirts, but it's not like
Yeah.
it's not my favorite.
No, I got you.
I feel weird.
Yeah. What else can we say about connections?
They're scary, they're hard, but they're valuable and they're worth it. Um, and I think about the few examples I have in my life of connection and how valuable they were to me.
Tell
I
us about them because like I talked about a couple with like my jobs at the universities and stuff, but like when is the time a connection really panned out for you?
I would say like I had a mentor when I was in undergrad,
Hmm.
and I really wanted to get into the MFA program that I went to. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know enough people who know my writing, but I hadn't talked to
Right.
her since I graduated. And I was like, I have no idea if you remember me.
Hmm.
But if you could, I would love if you could write me a letter of recommendation. And she was like, of course I remember you. I would be
Oh.
honored. And I
Hmm.
think that was really meaningful, but it was really hard because we had a really genuine connection when I was in school, but like I was like, it's been so long. She's not gonna remember me. She's
Yeah.
got all these students, but she didn't remember
Hmm.
me. And I had a lot of fun with her. When I was a mentor, she was one of the few people that like really got what I was doing. And other people didn't like in my class. They didn't like my stuff, and she would get
Yeah.
really excited because she'd be like, "Oh, she's doing satire. This is
Yeah.
satire," and like nobody understood that I was doing
Oh.
satire, and she would get really excited. And
Yeah. Are you
she
still
was like,
connected with her?
"No, because I suck."
No,
But
you don't suck.
it's hard. It's very hard because
Hmm.
I wish I had kept that connection. Another connection I kept up with was Jeff Parker.
Hmm.
Um, when I would go to the readings, because I really, really wanted to get into grad school, something that was
Yeah.
really meaningful to me.
Hmm.
And so I'd go to the readings at the MFA program because I was an
Hmm.
intern
Yep.
there.
And they are
And
just also great readings.
they are great readings. And so I was an intern for the MFA program,
Hmm.
and I worked with Jeff Parker. And he was like, "Hey, if you ever need like a connection, like if you ever need like a letter of
Yeah.
recommendation, just hit me up."
Mm.
And so like I would go to these MFA readings and I would see Jeff Parker and I'd be like, he probably doesn't remember me. And then
Hmm.
like as like everything, but I was like, but I'll go talk to him anyway.
Yeah.
And as we were like clearing out of the room, he like we made eye contact and he's like, "Oh, hey." And like, he walked over and he talked to me.
Oh.
He's like, "How are you doing?" And I would show up every once in a while and I was like, I really want to go to this program. And he's like,
Hmm.
when the time comes,
Yeah.
you'll be here. And he's like, because I didn't feel like I was ready. And he's like, it's
Mm.
okay. Like whenever you're ready,
Yeah.
we'll be here. And
Letters of
when
recommendations are so hard.
they are, and so I asked him. I said, I'm ready to apply, and then he was like, just he's like, I'd be happy to do your letter of recommendation. And then I didn't see him for a while, and then when I did apply, he I did ask him, and he did write my letter of recommendation. So that's pretty
Nice.
cool. Like somebody who was
Hmm.
a professor in the program, the
Yeah.
person who created the program
Yeah.
recommended me. So that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
really,
Well,
really valuable and sweet.
and like I'm just thinking about when I got into grad school, the professors that I asked to write my letters of recommendation, one of them I'm still in connection with today, and I feel like I could reach out to him at any moment and he would show up for me, uh, which is great. But like when I didn't get accepted the first time I applied to grad school, and then you have to go back and reapply, um, you can't just hang on to the letters of reference that people wrote for you in the past because everything now is like, hey, we have to email this person directly and then they fill out a form or they submit whatever, blah, blah, blah. And like, so that was always really difficult because like when I did my internship at the Space Center, both like my direct supervisor and then her supervisor wrote me letters of recommendation and they were like, here you go, like anytime that you need it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's awesome. Like I have them saved in my computer. I can't use them because I don't know those people well enough to submit their email into this portal that will just ping, could you write a letter of recommendation, kind of thing. So I think that's the hard part about connections too, is that like you do have to do some maintenance if you want to, like if you
Hmm.
need something from them.
Hmm.
Um, So I love that both of those professors were able to say to you, like, of course I remember you. Of course I will do this for you. Like, I see you kind of thing. And I bet you if you were to send your one professor your published story that she would be so excited for you.
Yeah. I
Like, I bet if you just emailed her out of nowhere to be like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, like, I bet she would be so excited for you.
uh,
You don't have
it's
to.
diff
It's a good way to keep up that
it
relationship.
is. It is.
Yeah.
I've always been very bad at keeping up
Hmm.
relationships. Not
Yeah.
because like I don't want to keep a relationship with somebody. It's more
Yeah.
like I assume they don't want to keep a relationship with me.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, that's the hard part is that there are people, I feel like I'm such a duality of assuming people don't remember who I am and assuming people don't want to spend time with me. But then the people that I latch on to, I don't give them a choice, you know? I mean, again, yes, it had been 2 years, but it was 2 years thinking about like, how can I get this person that I felt a connection with into my life? And then when the opportunity presented itself, I jumped on it. It was like, Maddie, you have to do this with me. And then when we left that volunteering opportunity, I thought I said to you, I don't want to quit because I like spending time with you. And you were like, join my writing community. And then when that, writing community had kind of puttered because all of us were struggling with different things, is when you came to me and said, like, let's do a podcast. Um, and I feel like I struggle with making connections, but the people that I do connect with, I'm like, no, like you're in it. There's no choice. Like this is happening, you
Oh my
know?
God, I can't believe you were just that obsessed with me.
Why? I tell you all the time how obsessed with you I am. I don't know how to make it any more clear.
I don't
Uh,
understand.
yeah,
But hey.
yeah, yeah. But it's kind of becoming the same thing with some of the people that we've interviewed of like, the fact that my mom bought a Silly Goose t-shirt to be like, hey, share this with your friends. Like,
Yeah,
whether they know it or not, like, we're
we're
going to
friends
be long-term friends. I'm going
forever.
to find a way
Yeah.
to get them in our lives. Like,
We've
I will be
talked
reaching out to them about being on our AWP panel.
like we've talked, therefore now we are friends. Because
Yes.
I don't talk
Yeah.
to people. So like if I'm talking to you, like I like you.
Well, I did when I was thinking about this topic for our podcast, I was thinking specifically about how you talked about that I need to come up to visit you so that you can take me to your bookstore so that I can help you make friends with the bookstore people.
Yeah.
And all I could think about was like, that's a great connection. Like you should go talk to them and then you can get a part-time job there and then get a discount on books because there's nothing better than working in a bookstore.
But I need
I
the
know.
Abigail
I
energy.
know. I know.
I
But
have
I
I
will
have
help you
told
with
you
that.
about like my best friend was like I need to channel my inner Abigail because she
Oh,
wanted to like
that's
reach out to like a random person on Instagram.
That's so
So there are
cute.
people who you don't even know who think about you
Oh, that's really
and use you as like
creepy.
an inspiration. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice?
That's really weird.
Okay. I thought it was nice, but
Uh,
hey.
no, it is. It is nice. It's so funny. I was talking to my brother the other day, and I was like, in our family unit, I am the least confrontational. Like, I am the peacemaker. I am the quiet one. Like, lay low, stay out of shit. In my friend group, I am aggressive. And like,
Hmm.
it's so funny because my sister-in-law literally said to me the other day, she was like, I literally had to think to myself, like, what would Abigail do? And I was like, that's so funny because I constantly think, like, what would Carla do? Like, I channel my
Yeah,
mom when I want to feel like strong and powerful and assertive, you know?
it's interesting.
I don't think of myself that way.
That's funny. That
Yeah.
is funny. I don't know, like I don't think like I'm trying to think if I like have like moments where I'm gonna channel my inner so and so, but I don't
I
think I
know.
do.
Well, channel your inner Abigail, and whoever's working at the bookstore, just be like, "Oh my I really like your shoes, and then work from there.
Uh, that sounds so unauthentic to me of who I am as a person. Because
Okay, well,
we've
I'll come
talked
up
about
and
this
visit
before.
you.
I have black cat energy, so like,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
and that has in some ways served me well. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
people end up adopting me. That's usually
Yeah.
what happens is I get adopted. Like, they
Hmm.
think I'm a stray, but I'm not. So they like
Yeah.
pick me up and bring me into their house, and I'm like,
You're secretly feeding off of like 5 families in the same neighborhood. They're all like
yes,
leaving out food for you.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what's happening.
On a side note, if you're a black cat, what am I? Because I don't think I'm a golden retriever. I feel like I
Mm-mm.
almost have like orange cat energy sometimes.
Orange cat would that might be good. I
Like
don't
I'm still a
know.
cat, but also just like a dumb cat. I don't know.
Say you're dumb. Just like more social.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a
Um,
goldfish. I don't know.
but like, I think like there's like in different settings, like people perceive me in different ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. Like there's like you were talking about you're not aggressive in your family, but for your
Yeah.
friends you're seen as aggressive. So it's
Hmm.
funny because like people have there's different Abigails
Yeah.
for different
Yeah.
people. Even like
Yeah.
your own perception of who you are is different than how other
Yeah.
people perceive you.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, like again, think about your connections and how do they perceive you? Like
I
you perceive yourself
know.
some way, but like maybe they see you as like something else.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I've had a hard time with is that when building some of these connections, um I feel like I fall into a stereotype of myself. And then I have to figure out, okay, well, when do I lean into that stereotype? And when do I show more of my true colors, you know?
What do you mean by a
Um,
stereotype of yourself?
um, I mean, like reaching out to some of these authors, I kind of feel like a dog who has rolled over begging for somebody to pet their belly. You know what I mean? Like I feel very submissive and like what's the word I'm looking for? Sycophantic, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and that's not necessarily who I am. I mean, I can fangirl with the best of them, but at some point I do want to be seen as a like equal and as a professional kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's that navigating, like, how do you transition from sycophantic drooling at your feet to, hey, I want you to view me as an equal, we can help each other kind of thing. And then possibly even further than that of like, no, I am a professional.
Hmm.
And I think that's the hard part when making connections is that where do you enter that space? And then how do you present yourself later on? Because like I know when I first went up to the Silly Goose booth, I was myself and that I was fucking awkward and uncomfortable and like just doing my best to like try and make a friend. And
Hmm.
then reaching out to them, I felt so much more confident because it's like through a screen, through email, whatever. But then we got onto the Zoom to interview them. And I felt like I had to like put my professional hat on of like, no,
Yeah.
this is like a business exchange. And I think that's the hard part with connections for me too, is I go into it with different energies.
Yeah. I think too, something to remember is like these authors that we interview and we're like, oh, I'm not like them because I'm not an author yet. But
Yeah.
that's not what we're doing. We're not
Hmm.
talking author to author. We are
Right.
podcast hosts who want to
Right.
interview it. So
Hmm.
you're not, it's not about being equal. Like you're on
Yeah.
separate places.
Hmm.
And so you're coming as an interviewer and they're coming as someone to be interviewed. So it's not
Yeah.
about being equal. You're different
Hmm.
and you're confident in we are hosting a podcast. That's our
Yeah.
thing, even if we're not doing the same exact thing that you're doing right now. But that's not, even if we were,
Yeah.
that's not
Hmm.
what this is about. It's not
Yeah.
about two authors talking necessarily.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, no, I like that angle on connections because, I always say it's really funny. 30 was no problem for me. 27 fucked me up. 27 was the bridge where I really felt going from mid 20s of I am still young, I am still learning, I am still a child, into 27 is no, you are in a late 20s and there are expectations of you. And like you have to act a certain way. And I think especially being the youngest child and being a girl of older brothers, or a younger sister of older brothers, I within my family have always been kind of the baby, you know? I mean, there are different responsibilities because I'm a girl versus boys, whatever, but like
Yeah.
always very much like, you know, the youngest. And I have always had that energy out in the world of being the youngest. And there's a certain point where I turned 27 that I was like, oh, I can't act like a child. Like I am perceived in the world as an adult and I have to present myself as an adult.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think I've always had a bit of a hard time with the way I present myself. And I think it's the same thing with connections. You know, it's so funny. I was Abby my entire time growing up. And when I went to college, there was something that I was like, no, I want to be Abigail now. Like I want to actively shift that perspective
Right.
of, you know, who I am. And I think that's maybe why I'm struggling with some of these connections too, is trying to keep straight of who am I to this person, you know,
Hmm. Hmm. But, the
versus,
thing is, and I say this because I need to hear it constantly,
yeah,
is like you can't control the way other people perceive you.
right. Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
can't.
That is hard to hear.
It's
Yeah.
hard to
If
hear, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the fear. If I reach out to somebody and ask for a favor, ask for help, whatever, there's always the fear that they're going to be like, ugh, she's just taking from me. Um, you know, and that they could say no and whatever. But I
But
can't control
that
that.
that attitude of like that says more about them
Yeah.
and their state of mind
Hmm.
than it does about you.
Yeah.
Again, I
Hmm.
say this because I need to hear it. It's not because I've like really internalized
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
it's
No,
it's
of
something that I
course.
have to think about
Yeah.
too
No, I get that.
because like I think those kind of things all the time. Like
Hmm.
these people hate me, they're gonna scream and yell at me, and usually people just
Yeah.
they're not thinking about me in that
Hmm.
way. Like they're
Yeah.
not
No,
thinking about
agreed.
me at all, and that's
Yeah.
fine. That's preferable, but
Well, I was
it,
thinking about you. Um,
oh,
No, it just I really like this conversation because it does just make me very thankful for all of the connections that we've made through doing this podcast.
incredible, really.
But it also makes me really excited about the connections that we're going to make. And even though this season has been really hard getting authors on to talk to us, um, you know, going to keep trying, obviously, and reminding myself that it's worth it to make those
Right.
connections. I'm not a nuisance. I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. You know, I was feeling really down about a lot of that. And the interaction with Jandy and now Kristen just really kind of boosted my confidence of like,
Yeah.
no, people want to make connections. That's why we write, is because we want to connect with our readers and we want to connect with something larger than ourselves, and
Yeah.
like having to remind myself of that.
Yeah, again, like as I just said, you can't control how other people perceive you, but you can control the way you perceive yourself. Like you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm afraid they're going to take it. I'm taking advantage of them." But like just mm, note that and be like, "But what is my intention when I'm writing this? I'm writing this because I genuinely want a connection." And if they
Hmm.
don't see that,
Right.
that's not on you. It's not,
Yeah.
or maybe like you can
Hmm.
communicate that better, but like it's usually
Right.
like if
Yeah.
go in with your intention being, I want to make a connection.
Yep.
And it's on them to decide if they want that connection or not.
I'm Abigail.
And I'm Maddie, and this has been
Two writers.
Many Wrongs.